And we're fucking live. Oh, and we got a person in here. Hello. Welcome to Dugan's Neurotic Car Show. We got 3 people. Okay. Party's getting started up in here. Party's getting popping. Cowbell, baby. Bong, bong, bong. Yo, yo, yo. Yo, 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 yo. I am excellent. How are you guys doing? I am excellent because things are at least getting to where the shit that I've been trying to say is making sense. Even though it saddens me that what's going to happen is what's going to happen. But I'm happy at least that I can try to do something. Excellent, bros. Excellent, bros. Okay. So, all right. So we are obviously, the situation with China is continuing. So I've gotten a lot of emails about news articles talking about the region where the standoff is taking place. So this is where all that started was at the Penghe So, which is an Arctic lake. That's in the region of whatever it is, Lakak or whatever the fuck the area is. It's an Arctic lake. That's where it started, and now it's just expanding because of the number of people that are there. But this is like the same location. There's also Z has announced, they're basically, I mean, China's been building up military strength the entire time, but they're going to launch a new national defense initiative where they're going to bolster their national defense, which means they're going to be, continuing to invest in their military capability. That's what that means. And then on our side, we have a lot of Chinese rhetoric picking up, anti-Chinese rhetoric picking up, and we have where the Chinese diplomats have been switched out. So if you don't know this, the Chinese has done a dramatic shift when they pulled out a bunch of diplomats and replaced them with kind of like their version of hardball diplomats. And this is a change in tactic. I was discussing this with somebody last night. This is a change in tactic. China's foreign policy thus far for the past 30 years has been a don't see me. If you don't see me, you're a man policy. And that's the purpose behind that is to make them have the capability to continue to build up and industrialize with as minimal notice as possible. Now people are, I guess I've had a few comments about people they say they want more information about China, so they're challenging me on how would you, to me it's really obvious the situation with China, but I understand that might not be the case for other people. And so I guess we're gonna I'm gonna probably shoot a video, not on a live stream, and then just consolidate information on China to show you both the historical steps of how it came to where it is, in terms of bringing us into a war with China, and then I'm gonna show you material that supports the thesis that not only is the Chinese war completely inevitable, you can't stop it, but whether that's fought overseas or if it's something that happens closer is dependent on the people in the United States. But there will be a Chinese engagement one way or the other, because it's just there's too many there's too much at stake that's been invested into pulling this off for so long with so many people that it's just not possible to avoid. But I understand that, you know, a lot of this stuff is new to people, and you have a lot of people that are in denial. Like which is very common. Like that's like the normal sentiment. You know, like I've been making these videos for only a few weeks, but I've been talking to guys about this and like trying to tell them for like fucking 5 years. So when I first started doing this, I would talk to like, you know, like what comes to mind is this, I got a buddy that's a military guy, and he's privy to, you know, backstage shit. And so, you know, I brought up with him, and it was like, you know, obviously he was very, you know, kind of like bewildered why I would even think that. And that's usually what you run into. Typically, the detractors to the thesis cite either it's in China, or they cite like it's not a big deal because the Chinese military sucks and the United States military is awesome. And both of those are wrong. And the reason being is that the United States is completely controlled. And so it doesn't have security it has zero operational security. It's just that you know, we've been permitted to have operational security thus far in like the GWOT because that's part of the plan. The latter part of this plan is to drop the United States. Positioned into, you know, it's planned eventual, you know, openly socialist new structure. That's like what the purpose of this is. So like, you know, people that are looking at this like it's a chessboard game, like we're going to beat the other side no matter what, they don't understand the reality of what is going on. Like they're thinking in terms of the synthesis, which is like what we see in the general public. They're not thinking in terms of like the reality. Like the reality is that, you know, we're not in that great of shape. In a lot of different ways, socially, but also, I mean, in terms of military, you know, I've tried to describe this before, but it's like if you were an organism and you couldn't contain your thoughts. Like you would think of a thought of how to fight. Let's say you were an organism fighting another organism, and you're thinking to yourself, you're like, I'm going to throw this right hook. Well, if the signal before it even gets to your hand passes to the enemy, and then the enemy knows that you're going to throw a right hand, then it's going to be difficult to connect your hook, right? And this is like just an analogy of like the problem with having insecure intelligence. And the United States does not have secure intelligence. So that's just the way that it is. You have to remember too that the United States has completely built China into what it is. The United States and Europe. So, you know, China didn't get there on their own. So like people fucking knew that this was happening for a long fucking time, and that's what I guess we have to get into, because I assume that all the comments that are in disbelief about this thing are legit. Like I assume that it's not like just like trolling to like waste time and shit. It doesn't really matter, because if I explain it, then if it is genuine, then other people will be able to get the information too. So I'm gonna do that. I don't know exactly. I guess I'm just gonna sit down and record a video on my phone and then overlay like cited material and just go through it, and then I'll find the videos and splice them in and make it like short and sweet and compact, instead of like live stream, you know, streaming consciousness, which is way cooler, but not as concise and what else? The really interesting thing to understand about this, what you have to understand, and this is a hard. I'm not really gonna touch on this probably on the next video. But what you need to understand, under the approval of law of both China and the United States. So like, it's not like Chinese are coming over here and just like slipping through cracks in the border and nobody's tracking what's going on in universities or in media. And so what that means is that, and likewise, the reciprocal is true with China. Like, I'm sure that everyone accepts at this point, because of the narrative of how like brutal China is and how they are their citizens. Like it's already a completely accepted narrative that China has a surveillance state with a really tight control, and it's far more than most nations. So you better fucking believe that China knows exactly who the fuck is leaving China and going to the United States to go into a university or something, where they're going to be dealing with like, you know, sensitive technology or IP. Like obviously China knows, and so does the United States. And then so you have to the logical extension of that is if they know that, then do they know what's coming next? And the answer to that, I believe, is yes. I believe that China elements within the Chinese government are working with the elements here that are by, so that China is blamed, and then that reinforces the Chinese war. The United States, like if you're in charge of that kind of shit, like you're going to see and in medicine and as a trap, and whatever happens, we need to be inside of the United States in a defensive posture, and we need to understand that we do not have control of the United States, like the American public does not, which is pretty obvious. And so we need to shift public consciousness into the realization of that and into a defensive posture where we eliminate all of our vulnerabilities and by providing for ourselves and get our representative government to echo that ideal so that, America can be in first place, because we never should have gone through all this shit where we're just sending out manufacturing out of the United States and having absurd inflation and consumption. So that would be the direction to move in. And you got to understand that China is a trap. And the reason it's a trap is because this is the only way that they knock out the United States. By knockout, I don't mean that there's not going to be in the United States when it's done. I don't mean that the history books are going to say the United States got its ass kicked. What I mean is that when this whole war is done, your United States is going to have no resemblance to the Constitution, not only in actuality as it is now, but on paper too. And they're going to tear up that paper. Like it's going to be deemed, it's going to be deemed archaic and unnecessary for the future. So that is what I'm trying to say. So if anybody is like poisoning an argument to this thesis, but they don't want to address that, like if they want to look at it like, America's so strong, so this isn't even realistic, like we can't get our asses kicked, we're not in the same ballpark here. We're not playing the same fucking sport. Okay, so you can address those specific topics, and I'll pull up some cited materials and references that you can then redirect to other people to help spread this so that people become aware, particularly representatives in state and municipal government first before federal, because federal is pretty far gone. All right, that's about it. Love you guys. Have fun.